Welcome to the Verified Unknown. We don't give you the answers, we give you the evidence and let you decide for yourself. Today, we are diving into one of the most bizarre and declassified chapters in American intelligence history. It was the height of the Cold War. The Soviet Union was the evil empire, and the threat of nuclear annihilation loomed over everything. The CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency needed to know what the Russians were thinking. They needed secrets. They needed spies. But in 1972, they turned to a source you wouldn't expect, a psychic artist from New York named Ingo Swann. At the Stanford Research Institute, a prestigious think tank, physicist Dr. Harold Potthoff was running experiments. In one famous instance, Ingo Swann was asked to influence a magnetometer inside a shielded underground vault, a device protected from all outside magnetic interference. As Swann thought about the machine, the magnetometer's readings went haywire. Potthoff was reportedly mind blown. There was no physical explanation. This was the genesis of remote viewing, the alleged ability to perceive and describe remote locations, people, or objects, shielded by distance or time, using only the power of the mind. The early days were chaotic and fascinating. Swann and Potthoff devised an experiment called Project Scanate, using geographic coordinates as targets. In one of the most legendary and controversial cases, another viewer named Pat Price was given the coordinates for a secret Soviet facility in Semipalatinsk. While sitting in California, Price described a massive gantry crane and a unique, very large building. When the CIA later saw satellite imagery, they were stunned. It matched. Soon, the military got involved. The Army recruited a chief warrant officer named Joseph McMoneagle, who would later be designated Remote Viewer No. 1. The program went through many names: Grill Flame, Center Lane, Sunstreak, before finally being consolidated under the name we all know today, Project Stargate. For over 2 decades, these psychic spies were tasked with finding hostages in Iran, tracking fugitive terrorists, and locating Soviet submarine bases. We are just getting to the good part, including the secret lab at Princeton and the final government report that ended it all. But if you're fascinated by the declassified files of the unusual, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the Verified Unknown. We don't want you to miss what comes next. The research wasn't just in California. At Princeton University, the peer lab, Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research, was running thousands of trials, trying to prove statistically that the human mind could affect or perceive reality. But despite decades of work and millions of dollars spent, the intelligence community had to ask a hard question: does this actually work? By 1995, the CIA had enough. They brought in the American Institutes for Research, AIR, to conduct an independent review. To ensure fairness, they chose 2 heavyweights with opposing views: Jessica Utts, a statistician who leaned toward believing the evidence, and Ray Hyman, a cognitive psychologist and noted skeptic. Utts reviewed the data and concluded the results were statistically significant, meaning they were very hard to explain by chance. But Hyman, while agreeing the data looked odd, pointed to flaws in the experimental methods. He argued that the results weren't consistent enough to be actionable. In the end, the AIR report delivered a devastating blow to the program. Their final conclusion stated that the information provided by remote viewing was vague and ambiguous, and it was unlikely to ever yield information of sufficient quality for actionable intelligence. Project Stargate was terminated. The files were eventually declassified and sent to the National Archives, where over 12 million pages of documents now sit in the CIA's CREST database, available for anyone to read. But the story didn't end there. The term remote viewing has now entered the public lexicon. Training programs exist. Modern experts debate the best protocols, with some insisting on rigid structures like controlled remote viewing, while others argue that individual talent matters more. Some of the original viewers, like Joseph McMoneagle, went on to work with the Monroe Institute and claim they can view not just across space, but across time, peering into our past and future. Scientists, like Dean Radin, continue to research the phenomenon, insisting that psychic phenomena are real and that we simply stopped researching because of the stigma and the ridicule factor. So, what is the truth? Did the CIA shut down a genuine intelligence goldmine because they were afraid of looking silly? Or did they finally admit they had spent millions of taxpayer dollars chasing a ghost? We know the men involved, Swann, Price, Potthoff, McMoneagle, truly believed in what they were doing. We know the science, while controversial, produced results that still puzzle statisticians today. But we also know that in the high-stakes world of espionage, vague information can get people killed. The files are out there. The evidence is declassified. The question is now yours. What do you think? Was remote viewing a genuine psychic breakthrough suppressed by stigma, or was it a Cold War delusion that cost millions for zero return? I want to hear your take. Sound off in the comments below.